Sam, what have you been eating? What have you not been eating? And everything in between to achieve such dramatic weight loss? These answers will be questioned. We'll just go with it. So, first step, I mean, this is just kind of a call out. Do you even track any of your macros? Are you getting into any, like, are you even at least tracking your protein? That's kind of the initial phase. That's the gateway to macro tracking. And I'm talking about a good gateway, but you got to start tracking your macros first. No. Your protein first. So that's where, if you're a 130-pound dude, pretty lean, get 130 grams of protein in. If you're a 200-pound dude, a little softer, you're fine with about 180. You need about a gram per pound of lean body mass. If a guy is 400 pounds, but 150 pounds of that is just fat, that doesn't mean he needs 400 grams. He would need 250, right? So before you do anything, I think you got to make sure you're tracking your proteins first. And, that's, for some people, that can be a little bit of a chore. That can be a bit of a hassle. Even just going from tracking nothing to having to count your protein every day and make sure that you hit that goal, it can be a little bit of a chore. But you're going to get used to it pretty quick. And then you can actually get into the real fun stuff, which is actually going to make you make real changes to your fucking build. And that's when you're counting your total macros, your total calories for the entire day. You go to the soda section, and instead of grabbing a Sprite, you grab a Sprite Zero. Instead of getting a fucking insert popular energy drink or popular sports drink, you get the 0-calorie version, stuff like that. And I'm not joking. Once you get it, like once you see, I make this fucking reference to all sorts of shit. Once you can see the matrix of how your diet is going to affect your results, gym-wise, body-wise, energy-wise, the way you feel, it's hard to go back. Like, you can't look at food the same way anymore. And I don't see that as a bad thing. I think that's fucking good. Because nobody who gets into macro tracking for real and actually understands what they're doing, they don't start doing it and then think, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. It is a little unfortunate though, because a lot of people have a pretty rough starting spot. Because, how many people do you know who aren't insane gym nuts where they get a reasonable diet? I'm talking just, meats, reasonable amount of low glycemic index carbs, rice, just an active dude. They're staying in shape. More likely than not, everybody's just eating fucking. I'm just kind of surprised that some girls are even alive. They go to Starbucks, they get like a sugary drink. There's like 600 calories in it, 150 grams of carbs, and then like throughout the day. If you're part of the 4% female audience and you work out and you eat your protein every day, you know what I'm talking about. You're probably surprised that some of your friends can even move around, Like you gotta, once you understand it and you start to implement it and you start to see the benefits from it, you're never gonna go back. So that's sort of my take on the matter. But what the hell? I came down this aisle because I was looking for sugar-free Jell-O cups. But this is all just powdered. Well, we'll find it. Either way, first thing on the list, and one of the main things, I need some steaks. I need some steaks, because I've got eggs right now, but I kind of ran out. And speaking of steaks, perfect example of what I'm talking about when it comes to making a specific decision about not just a food in general, but making a specific choice between two types of foods. I'm talking either getting a gallon of whole milk or a gallon of skim milk, right? A diet soda or a full sugar soda. You can kind of apply the same logic to everything. There's the heavier, not healthier, it was a meatier, fattier, higher calorie option of a lot of stuff. And more often than not, you can pick the leaner one. You can get the 92% beef instead of the 80%. And these little things, even if you don't want to be completely OCD about it, because I get it. Look, if someone were to tell me, like, yeah, our son Sam, every time he eats something, he has to weigh it out on the scale, and he tracks it on his phone, and he makes sure that he hits a certain number a day. I mean, you sound like Rain Man, but well worth it. So actually, instead of stopping for steaks, perfect. This is about as lean as I ever see. Not that I think you can see the number, but 2 pounds of 96% lean ground beef. And even if you get 80%, you're still going to be able to strain off the fat. So I wouldn't freak out about it too much. But I've noticed this over the last few months, the last few years. I kind of feel a little bit better when I have at least a pound-ish of red meat. I don't even mean like, I mean, it's hard to explain. I can't say like I wake up with vigor for life any more than normal. But something about actually, I mean, I don't know. I think that the carnivore guys are onto something. I don't think they're complete nutcases. Now, I'm not saying I'm gonna go Liver King mode anytime soon, but I don't think they're on the wrong track. So what I'm scanning for now, oh, here we go. Wait. Fuck. Looking for top round. I'm looking for top round. What I'm not looking for is something like a ribeye, something like a strip steak. I'm not looking for anything particularly fatty. Really, I kind of want a cut that's all red, not too much fat on the inside of it. So let me, I guess, yeah, top sirloin. These are small cuts though. These are only half a pound. I guess that's fine. Honestly, I should be only doing about half a pound of the red meat at once, because I'm gonna plug it into my phone and track it. But half a pound of red meat is about 45, 50-ish grams of protein. 8 ounces of straight up lean turkey breast, that's 50 grams. That's another thing that you're gonna notice once you start tracking your calories and your macros, is you're gonna get good at fucking just knowing how many calories are in things. You could put a hamburger and fries in front of me from any restaurant, and I'll be able to look at it and tell you, okay, that's probably about a 45 carb bun. That's a pretty thick cut. That's probably 40 grams of protein in the patty. Yeah, that's definitely fatty. Plus mayonnaise and cheese. That's 25, 30 grams of fats there. Stuff like that. You kind of get a little OCD. But what I'm looking for now, perfect. Keto buns. I swear this is a lifesaver. Not this brand specifically. It could be any of these. But just looking at the macros, 50 calories per. So one of these little buns, if I'm to slap it onto a turkey sandwich, or if I wanted to make like a little bit of a sloppy joe with some low sugar barbecue sauce, or if I wanted to mix in some fat-free cheese into this ground beef in the pot once it's done cooking, 50 calories per bun, compared to the leading full carb competitor, 150. I just cut my calories from the buns down by 3. And not 3 calories, 3 times. So, not a bad move. And that's already, so that's what? Steaks, breads. I kind of already cut down on my caloric intake without even having to track anything. If I were to sit here and make kind of a sloppy Joe style sandwich, or have 2 of these steaks, even without having to track it, I just chilled out of my fat intake from picking a leaner cut, and I just chilled out of my carb intake from picking one of these. I mean, it's kind of it's a little bit lab experimenty, but the basic premise with the keto buns, as it were, the low carb buns, is the bun itself is just made primarily from dietary fiber, not so much, just straight up carbs from like a flour or a wheat or whatever. So this is one thing I do want you to kind of pay attention to if you're interested in, taking advantage of little tricks like this, is you look at the background. I'll even, let's give you a close look here. Real fucking close. Okay, well, whatever. But basically, total carbs, 21 grams, right? But right below that, it says dietary fiber, 18 grams. And 18 grams of that are insoluble. Insoluble fiber means that your body cannot break it down. Your stomach doesn't have the capacity or, the strength of acidity like a cow or a horse or whatever to be able to break down insoluble fiber. So all it's going to do is pass right through you. And more likely than not, you need more fiber in your diet anyway. So essentially the logic there is you can take the total carbohydrate value, 21 grams, and then subtract the insoluble fiber value, 18 grams. Now, leaving you with 3 grams of net carbs. 4 calories each, 12 calories from carbs. That barely puts a dent in my carb, because when you get a macro tracker, you can pretty much see how much calories you have left in any individual macro, carbs, fats, proteins. 3 grams of carbs, I've got 300 for the whole day. 3 grams is nothing. So something like that, even if you're like, I keep coming back to this, even if you're not serious about tracking every little detail yet, you're easing into it. Just by making these little replacements, you're going to notice over time. And this leads me to a next point of a perfect replacement, or not replacement, let's say substitution. Here we go. Perfect. Oh, I've been in manual focus this whole time. No wonder that wasn't working. God damn it. Well, you get the gist. But yeah, so fat-free shredded cheese. Perfect. Instead of, let's do that same shit. Let's compare. So same shit, known brand. Instead of 9 grams of fat per 28 grams, there's now 0. There's zilch. And the only difference is this now has 2 grams of carbs instead of 1, and a touch more protein, 9 grams instead of 6. Now, is the protein awesome in something like a shredded cheese like this? Not as good as a steak for sure. But again, you just cut down on 9 grams of fat. So now, if you had a little craving for something cheesy, you wanted to add cheese onto your egg white omelet, you wanted to add cheese in like a little salad, right? Stuff like that. Now you don't have to necessarily feel bad or like skimp. Because if you've ever tried dieting, which, I mean for real. I mean dieting for a long period. Not like, I'm going to try dieting and then like you give up after 3 days. I mean like legit dieting. You know that if you try to, what are you supposed to do? Open up the fridge, open up the freezer, take 1 scoop of ice cream, have a bite, weigh it out, and then put it back? No, man. So by taking the calorie smart options as often as possible, you don't have to limit the amount of food, like physical food that's in front of you that you're eating at a time. When I make these, I'll do a ½ pound of ground beef mixed once cooked with a good helping of the fat-free cheese with some sugar-free barbecue sauce, mix it all up together, kind of a sloppy Joe-esque mix. I'll literally have a completely full stomach to the point where I kind of feel like distended, and I only had 700 calories. The cost of a massive full stomach for 700 calories. We may as well have reversed inflation 30 years or 50 years back to the fucking 80s, right? 700 calories for a full belly is cheap. So let's I kind of forget what we need next, but let's cut to it now. In time, I'll get to open up this door. Not yet. All right. Even dieting down, I'm still a pretty solid fan of the instant oats. I'm talking kind of the paper bag, throw it in the boiling water in your cup. Because 50 grams of carbs from something like an oatmeal, that is not bad dieting wise. This is one thing that I notice, and I'm sure anybody notices. It's a little different when I'm bulking up. When I'm full of food at all times and my stomach is constantly, basically leaching out sugars and carbs into my bloodstream, I don't really get energy crashes because I'm just full of food at all times. So if I had like a bag of Skittles or if I had some ice cream or something, it's not going to spike my blood sugar and then crash it because I'm kind of just in a constant fed state. But whenever I diet down, or whenever you diet down, and you're in a real deficit for a long time, you're going to notice that if you ever have a big, high glycemic index calorie intake, aka you eat like fucking 100 grams, 150 grams of sugar at once, your blood sugar is going to spike and then it is going to immediately fucking crash. Because sugars just go through your system like nothing. Whereas something like an oatmeal, it's more of an even distribution of energy. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but like, I mean, I remember when I was younger, my dad would tell us, like, eat your oatmeal before a competition or whatever, so you can have even slow energy. Because, I mean, it's more fibrous as a carb. It's literally more sugar molecules chained together. It takes time to digest. So, if I were to have 50 grams of carbs from a bag of Skittles right when I woke up, not that I would do that, especially not dieting, but let's say I did that, versus alternate universe where I had 50 grams of carbs from an oatmeal. For one thing, I'm going to have a sugar spike and then crash. I'm going to be tired for a little bit before I kind of reach back to equilibrium. And then I'm going to be hungrier again sooner. Whereas with the 50 grams of the low, kind of slow digesting complex carbs from the oatmeal, I'm going to be full for longer. I'm not going to have a massive kind of fluctuation in my energy. And then I can wait a few more hours before I feel like I even need to eat another meal. That's why guys usually say that when they start, carnivore, they start keto, they start no sugar. A lot of times when people start those diets, what they always say, and at least what I always hear, is, dude, my energy levels are like, they're so, like, I feel like I've got such high energy. I wouldn't even say it's necessarily high energy, but it's even energy throughout the day. Because if you're if you're in a state of maintenance or in a state of a deficit where you're getting leaner, then, I mean, a large sugar intake, it just doesn't make any sense because it's not going to make you feel very full. It's going to fuck with your blood sugar and make you go all fucking crazy. Like if I were to sit here with a glucometer, it, it would probably shoot up to like 200 for a second and then shoot back down to 50 and then bounce around back to like 70. Whereas, having more complex style carbs, it's just going to keep you in a more fed, even baseline state, which dieting wise, that's your friend. Consistency, consistent hunger levels, consistent levels of kind of fullness, eating evenly throughout the day. That is what you're going to want, because this is kind of a classic approach. Everybody kind of, if you don't really know what you're doing dieting wise and macros and counting, I'm sure you know somebody where they basically just eat nothing all day. They skip breakfast. They skip lunch. They might have like they might have a Coke Zero at 1, and then for one thing, they may think to themselves, oh, I was really good today. No, I didn't even cheat on my diet today. I get to have a little snack before bed. Or they've literally just withheld themselves from eating for so long throughout the day that now their appetite is going fucking crazy. You can't go to sleep when you're fucking hungry unless you're like a high school wrestler and you're a real beast about it. I knew a couple guys like that when I was in high school. But odds are you're not going to bed hungry, man. I've been there before too. I'm not going to bed hungry. I end up having to eat something. So, yeah, that's me being a schmuck. I should just suck it up. But really, I should have just planned my day more accordingly, where I ate steady, evenly sized meals. Like I've been kind of talking about what I want to do when I start bulking up. I'm really going to emphasize evenly dispersed meals throughout the day to be in a little more of a just steady state of fedness. But same thing goes with dieting, man. So if you hold yourself off from calories and you're just holding off and you're holding off and you're just holding off, you're just building up pressure inside you. And eventually you're going to say, fuck it. Give me the Ben and Jerry's. 3 seconds later, it's gone. 3 seconds later, you're going to say, okay, maybe I'll have some juice. And then you totally screwed yourself. So that's where being a little more responsible, eating evenly throughout the day, that's where it's at, man. So let's what else do I need? Give me a give me a minute to think about it. Yeah, that's everything. The only other thing I need to get is deodorant. Not that I've been running on no deodorant. Oh my god. I hope that's none of you guys. It's been a little while, but I'm sure even me just saying that triggered your mind to think of the guy who you know at your gym just fucking reeks. Come on, man. Have some class. But main ideas, dieting wise, lean protein sources, low carbs. I actually stopped and got some carb balance tortillas, only 2 net carbs each. Now there are 3.5 grams of fat, so there's still some calories, of course. You can't completely get around it. There is no eating food with 0 calories. But if you're smart, and if you line this stuff up the right way, and I know it sucks, I know it's a bitch to have to fucking track your calories and weigh everything out and get your food scale and this, that. I know. And especially if you haven't gotten into it, I know that it seems like a real serious chore. But once you start to see the benefits from doing it, and you can actually notice that your training's doing a little bit better, you're growing, you're getting stronger, you're getting better sleep, things just start falling into place, and you start to realize, like, okay, and I know this sounds a little weird for me to say. I don't I don't have the best rep for that, but the things that you're putting it seems stupid for me to say it because I'm eating all this fucking sugars and chocolate milk, whatever. But the food that you're eating, and I'm good about the protein, of course. I want the best fucking protein sources I can get my hands on. It's gonna affect your training. So if you're not eating in a way that's conducive with recovery from your lifts, and you're not eating enough foods to have the energy to facilitate muscle growth if you're trying to bulk up, then things just aren't gonna work, man. And there's no other option. If you're trying to bulk up and you reach a point of size where you're like your weight is just plateaued, you can't keep growing, you've got no other option than eat some more food. So by getting a little bit more literate with fucking macros and proteins and meal timing and like sprinkling some dextrose on your rice, you know, there's a million tips and there's a million YouTube videos talking about these tips. So if you can start studying up a little bit, you are going to notice benefits in your fucking training. So I think that's all I needed. I'm not doing like a kitchen restock, so this isn't, I'm not getting like low carb mayonnaise and low carb barbecue sauce or anything fancy like that. But, you know, if you take anything away from this, dieting, bulking, maintaining, you really do need to get into tracking your macros. The only negative I see is the fact that you're going to open up your phone, type in 40 grams of carbs, 50 grams of protein, and 20 grams of fat every time you eat something. Which to some people, yeah, that sucks. But in exchange for better pumps, better lifts, better gains, at least for me, I think it's worth it. Why do you think I do it? So I think this will be its own video. This won't be with a lift or anything. So I just finished hitting, what did I just finish? Yeah, I just finished arms. Maybe this will just be a 2-a-day video. I'll post both of them on the same day. But either way, that's kind of what I'll be eating for the next 2 weeks. And then once I start bulking up, this grocery cart is going to change pretty dramatically, especially on the carb sources. The proteins will be the same. I'm talking ground beef, steaks, eggs, fish. I've been loving tilapia. But the carb side of things and the fats side of things will get a little bit funkier. So keep an eye out for that. I'll see you next time.